Part 33. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 321. Chapter 321. Is this a confession to me? However, Stefan just glanced at Xia Ying indifferently, his eyes quickly swept from her hands to her face, then he changed his gaze, turned around and walked aside, far away from Xia Ying. Xia Ying's hand was still awkwardly frozen in the air, and Xia Ying's smile suddenly froze. How could this Stefan be so cold and aloof? After all, he would be a classmate in the future, so he wouldn't even want to shake hands. Forget it, Xia Ying stopped being sentimental. Xia Ying was in a good mood and looked at Luo Xian and the others happily. Luo Xian was already excited to take photos of Xia Ying and share them in the family group. True head of the family, oh, my little Sakura is great. Fake head of the family, Xiao Yingying is so cute, I miss Xiao Yingying so much. And, Sakura-chan is the best. Chu Sensei's cell phone has been vibrating. The cheers from Xia Ying's idiot fans in the family group are really terrible. He feels that the vibration frequency makes him tremble. Finally, the organizing committee awarded first-place gold medals to both Xia Ying and Stefan. Xia Ying and Stefan finally took a group photo together, although there was half a meter of distance between them. Stefan is a weird guy. After the game, Xia Ying and Luo Xian were going home to celebrate. Chu Sensei happily kept chatting next to Xia Ying. Cousin Xia Ying, you are so awesome. A super awesome stick. Even better than a lollipop. Xia Ying. This compliment is really weird, it's very unique and thoughtful. Jun Chennai nodded at the side. I think next time I can buy music directly from you and write lyrics. Although Xia Ying smiled on the outside and said nothing, she thought in her heart that if I had the time, I might as well release a new song myself. Xia Ying's last electronic music song Silence has been ranking high on various charts since the day it was released. The Thornbirds fan bar, forum, and official fan club are already full. Xia Ying didn't expect that song to be so popular. By the way, where is Mu Niankai? Chu Sensei asked casually, didn't Mu Niankai say before that she wanted to fly back with them? Of course Mu Niankai's purpose was to get close to Jun Chennai. Jun Chennai curled his lips and said, that girl was very angry. She probably felt that she had lost, so she was unhappy. Then she felt embarrassed and didn't want to come. Chu Sensei smiled evilly, you know her quite well. Jun Chennai rolled his eyes, don't talk nonsense. Is it okay that he only has Xia Ying in his heart? Don't mess around with the rhythm, okay? While Jun Chennai and Chu Sensei were noisy, Yu Lingfeng walked to Xia Ying's side, lowered her voice and asked Xia Ying in a voice that only the two of them could hear, I understand you. That song. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, then realized what Yu Lingfeng was talking about. Could it be that he knew that the song he wrote was inspired by him? Can Yu Lingfeng hear this? Xia Ying bit her lip and said nothing. It was better for her not to act rashly, in case that was not what Yu Lingfeng said. Yu Lingfeng then used a deep voice, leaned forward slightly, and asked seductively in Xia Ying's ear, are you confessing your love to me? Xia Ying immediately felt an electric current sweeping through her whole body. The numbing feeling made her stiffen involuntarily, and then her face turned red from her ears to the root of her neck. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 322. Chapter 322, Popular Abroad. No, I made up that song casually, but you are overthinking it. Xia Ying blushed and hurried forward, leaving Yu Lingfeng behind. Yu Lingfeng did not catch up, but just stood there and smiled happily. 11 Ju on the side looked at Yu Lingfeng with a confused expression. Was he right? Is his master laughing again? It's still the kind of smile that has a smile on its face. 11 Ju used to think that his master, a man whose eyes could make people freeze with his eyes, would make people tremble like the flames of when he smiled. But he didn't expect that his master could smile so gently, like a willow catkin. 11 Ju recalled the scene when Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying were on the phone a few days ago. Sigh, 11 Ju swallowed hard. When it comes to transformation ability, Xia Ying really has nothing to say. He actually changed his cold-blooded and boring master into the young man he is today. By the way, cousin Sakura, when are you going to learn from a teacher? After Xia Ying's game, she and Stefan were called to Mo Dexi's place, probably to discuss some upcoming arrangements. Well, the master said that I am in school now and it will be troublesome to run around. So he taught me online, and then every holiday, I would go to his place to teach in the field. If the master has time, he will often come to China look at me. Xia Ying said. What about Stefan? Chu Sensio asked again. Stefan lives in the same city as his master now, so there is no such trouble between them. Xia Ying continued, speaking of Stefan, I think he is really strange. In any case, he is now my junior brother, but he has never said a word to me. Holy shit, are you so arrogant? Chu Sensio was surprised. Jun Chennai on the side frowned and whispered, didn't someone say that Stefan has mild autism in the early years? I don't know whether it is true or not. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, then turned to look at Jun Chennai. Autism? Stefan. Jun Chennai nodded, it happened a long time ago. At that time, he had just become famous, so many media went to interview him, but they didn't say a word. Moreover, he gave people such a distant performance, there was indeed something abnormal. So gradually, the media reported that he had autism. However, it was suppressed not long after it came out and was said to be a rumor. Xia Ying frowned and fell into deep thought. If he was really autistic, then he would be quite pitiful. Is it true that geniuses are destined to be lonely? So many geniuses in history are also autistic. Xia Ying leaned on her seat and slowly closed her eyes, preparing to take a good rest. However, she had just fallen asleep when Chu Sensio beside her suddenly became furious. Ah, cousin Sakura. Chu Sensio held up his cell phone and said. Xia Ying was so frightened by Chu Sensio that she opened her eyes and looked at him angrily. What are you doing? You scared me. You are popular, look at the foreign media's news reports on you. Chu Sensio excitedly held up his phone to show to Xia Ying. Xia Ying frowned and took Chu Sensio's phone and looked at it. She was instantly blinded by the dazzling headlines that came one after another. A 16-year-old musical genius girl from China became a disciple of Modzi Gate. Results of the San Diego music competition are out, Modzi won 2 disciples. The flower of the other side after rebirth, the growth path of the talented musical girl Xia Ying is revealed. Thank you to Red Sleeve Book Friends 151280565443769344 for the flowers. Today is the 6th update, tell me whether you love me or not. I've been very busy recently. There is an important exam waiting for me that is comparable to the college entrance examination, so I try not to rush for updates all the time. The Shui Shui book review section is still available, and I have been updating very quickly recently. I have tried my best, I am helpless. Just Zhangzi Gilialo stayed up late coding. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 323. Chapter 323 Xia Ying's powerful fan. Jun Chennai on the side disagreed, after the song Rebirth, wasn't Xia Ying already popular? But now cousin Sakura is so popular that even foreign media are reporting on her and praising her. Chu Sensio was actually more excited than the person involved. After all, he won the San Diego music competition, a global music competition. Xia Ying became famous in the global music industry. Having been unknown before, he suddenly appeared in the competition and was on par with Stefan. Such news breaking points are the most popular among the media. Luo Xin was watching the news, covering her mouth and smiling. She knew that Xia Ying was very talented in music and worked hard, but to be able to compete with the internationally famous little prince of music Stefan at such a height was just a dream for Luo Xin. Never thought about it? It seems that her daughter does have many surprises that she doesn't know about. She must cultivate Xia Ying well. At this time, Qiao Na, who was performing for charity in the mountains, was so angry that she almost vomited blood when she heard the news. Damn it, why is this Xia Ying so lucky? Because of that competition, her future was ruined. Her sister Qiao Lin is still shutting herself up at home and unwilling to come out to meet people. With such spots, Qiao Lin's music path is completely blocked. Only he actually won a gold medal for this, which shocked the entire music industry. Damn it! Jonah couldn't help but curse. On the internet, all the true fans of Xia Ying that she had accumulated in the past exploded when they found out that Xia Ying had become a disciple of Mozai. I have never regretted liking you. Even though you were criticized by so many people before, I always believed in you. Now you have finally used your strength to slap those who criticized you in the face. You, Xia Ying, don't even bother with hype. You are the king. Ah. The awesome goddess Xia Ying. Because of you, I fell in love with music, bless me. I have listened to every piece of Xia Ying's music. As a person who doesn't know much about music, I can't taste the charm, but it is really, really good to listen to. Come on goddess Xia Ying, cherry blossoms will always be by your side. Xia Ying almost had red eyes when she looked at the words of fans on Weibo and Taiba. Along the way, it is really a wonderful thing to have these cute little cherry blossoms. Xia Ying patiently chose many senior cherry blossoms on Weibo and replied, "Thank you, I am grateful to have you." Then she posted a long Weibo post and wrote to her cherry blossoms. Then, Xia Ying also airborne her own Taiba and posted a long post to thank her fans who have always liked and supported her. Not long after, the topic of Xia Ying's powerful fan became a hot search topic. Fans who were overturned were so excited that they almost cried. They kept saying Xia Ying is the best, Xia Ying, I will always support you. Within one day, Xia Ying's Weibo fans reached 8 million. For someone who has long since quit the entertainment industry, 8 million is a very impressive number. And those people who later fanned Xia Ying only fanned her because of her music and her personality. After a summer of competing, Xia Ying started school after just a few days of rest. Xia Ying originally thought that when school started, a certain follower wouldn't keep pestering her, right? After all, Chu Shenxiu himself has to go to college, but Xia Ying has forgotten that there are few college classes, and Imperial University is not far from Guanyang Middle School, so Chu Shenxiu has a lot of time to come and play with Xia Ying. Hey, who are you? That person is you, stay away from my cousin Xia Ying. You, where are you looking? Can you see my cousin Xia Ying? Teacher, I want to change Xia Ying's deskmate. That guy Jun Chenai obviously has evil intentions for my cousin Xia Ying. Thanks to the cute little princess in the heart and short-haired little witch for the reward. Please vote for recommendations. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 324. Chapter 324. My cousin has a brain problem. Great turtle dove, you've had enough. Xia Ying appeared in the teacher's office angrily, and then forcibly pulled Chu Shenxiu out when teacher Li Mu was confused. I'm sorry, Mr. Li, my cousin has some mental problems and bothered you. Teacher Li Mu looked confused and looked at Xia Ying grabbing Chu Shenxiu's ears. Chu Shenxiu screamed all the way and was forced to be pulled away by Xia Ying. Li Mu thought to himself, How could a handsome young man have a problem with his brain? What a shame. Hey, hey, cousin Sakura, let go. Chu Sensio was wailing. Along the way, Xia Ying and Chu Sensio attracted the attention of countless people. Wow, is that Xia Ying's cousin Chu Sensio who keeps appearing recently? Chu Sensio is really handsome, even more handsome than the photos in magazines. He is worthy of being hailed as the national male of S country even before he debuted. Xia Ying has a good life, why don't I have such a good cousin? Xia Ying stopped when she heard this. Chu Sensio thought that she was saved and Xia Ying was going to let him go. Unexpectedly, Xia Ying then grabbed his ear and brought him to the girl who just said she was lucky. Now, if you want it, I'll give it to you. Xia Ying said coldly, then turned and left. The girl held her face in her hands and screamed, happiness came so suddenly. Chu Sensio was less than 1 meter away from her, and he looked so handsome like this. Chu Sensio smiled at the girl. The girl staggered and almost fainted. Fortunately, the girl next to her helped her to stand still. You know what my cousin Sakura said was angry, right? After Chu Sensio finished speaking, he turned around and chased Xia Ying. The girl behind him let out a scream that cut through the sky, ah ah ah. Chu Sensio is talking to me. Xia Ying. Sister, your voice is broken, can you be more reserved? Cousin Sakura, cousin Sakura. Chu Sensio took advantage of his height and long legs to quickly catch up with Xia Ying, and then kept buzzing around Xia Ying like a bee. Xia Ying's head was about to explode due to the noise from him. Cousin Xia Ying, don't be angry, I just feel unhappy with that Jun Chennai. Why is he always talking to you in class and peeking at you? Chu Sensio said it in a dazed and reasonable manner. Xia Ying glared back at him. It was better than some people not attending class well, running to their school every 2 days, and then just standing outside the window and staring at her like an idiot. In Chu Sensio's opinion, anyone who looks at Xia Ying for more than 1 second is doing something wrong. Not to mention Jun Chennai, this guy had evil intentions towards his cousin Xia Ying, but he was actually his cousin Xia Ying's desk mate. He spent time with his cousin Xia Ying day and night every day. Thinking about it, Chu Sensio felt uncomfortable. While Chu Sensio was still explaining endlessly, a young man in a white coat suddenly appeared. The white coat is really a magical existence. It is obviously just a simple piece of white cloth, but it is extremely charming on a handsome guy. The young man is tall, wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, with an indifferent face. His flaxen hair exudes a soft luster, and his whole body exudes an air of abstinence. The young man stared at Chu Sensio and took steps towards him step by step. At this time, the girls on the side seemed to have lost their voices, and they could only shout out exclamations such as, "Ah! Chu Shenming, a genius boy with high IQ, did I read that correctly? Guess what Chu Shenming is here for?" End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 325. Chapter 325. Chu Shenming is the ultimate boss. Chu Sensio is Xia Ying's cousin, and Chu Shenming, wow, God owes me such cousins. Chu Shenming is my idol. He has also come to China. Wow, so excited. Chu Shenming is so abstinent, so handsome, so handsome, so handsome, so handsome. Xia Ying glanced at the girls around her. Girls, please stop talking. It will all go to Chu Shenming. When Chu Sensio saw Chu Shenming, he immediately froze. Then he hid behind Xia Ying and said with a sad face, "What did I do wrong? You actually called my brother here." Xia Ying smiled evilly, "I knew you were afraid of your 12th cousin." Xia Ying could clearly feel that Chu Sensio behind her immediately turned into a coward, shivering and shaking behind Xia Ying's back. Chu Shenming walked up to Xia Ying, looked at Chu Sensio behind Xia Ying and was speechless, and sighed. Chu Shenming's face is always filled with a warm smile, the kind that makes people's hearts melt. However, only Chu Shenxiu knew that Chu Shenming, who had such a warm smile, was actually a dark and terrifying person in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't be afraid that he would be like this smile killer. Chu Shenming smiled, and the girlish hearts of the girls next to him turned into a puddle of water. What bad thing did 13 do again? Chu Shenming has a soft voice. By the way, this guy's naturally seductive voice is also his fatal weapon. Invisibly alluring. The girls were paralyzed again, simply defeated by Chu Shenming. Be obedient, don't talk, don't laugh, just stay still and look cool, okay? Big Turtle Dove disrupted my study life. I can't even make friends now because of him, Xia Ying complained to Chu Shenming aggrievedly, and you also know, 12th cousin, Big Turtle Dove has such a face. Trouble, he's following me every day, I'm going to be annoyed to death by him. Understood. Chu Shenming smiled faintly, walked around to Chu Shenxiu's side, and said in a deep voice, 13, come here. I do not want. Chu Shenxiu held Xia Ying's school uniform tightly and stared at Chu Shenming with aggrieved eyes. Why can't cousin Sakura see that his brother is the worst ultimate boss? Chu Shenxiu was bullied by him since he was a child. However, this guy was so harmless. No matter what bad things Chu Shenming did, his family would only blame Chu Shenxiu for the fault. After all, he has been a naughty and mischievous person since he was a child. Crying, now cousin Sakura was deceived by his appearance. Chu Shenming saw that Chu Shenxiu was very determined and didn't even take a step. In desperation, he took out something from his white coat and quickly injected an injection into Chu Shenxiu's arm. Ch Shenxiu screamed, and Xia Ying quickly looked back. At this time, Chu Shenming was already slowly retracting the needle. Seeing how he carefully cleaned up, Xia Ying opened her mouth in confusion. Chu Shenxiu on the side looked at Xia Ying aggrievedly, thinking that I was doing it for your own good, but you repaid the favor and summoned this big bad guy. Bullying me, no love. Chu Shenming raised his eyes, met Xia Ying's surprised gaze, and smiled softly, don't worry, cousin Xia Ying, I will take him away right away. Xia Ying swallowed silently and looked at Chu Shenxiu's appearance. Why did she suddenly feel a little guilty? Then, Xia Ying saw Chu Shenming grabbing Chu Shenxiu's hand and leading him away. Chu Shenxiu didn't resist at all the whole time, he just turned around and stared at Xia Ying sadly. Chu Shenxiu, I used to be a little overlord who was not afraid of anything, until one day I met my brother. Thank you little cutie Yuan Suya, cheers, stay in the memories and look at the past, Chesha, and your lovely dad for the rewards. I would also like to thank the little cutie wait until 10,000 years later and Y and Ruan Zioki for their rewards of 999 book coins each. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 326. Chapter 326, This bit of prestige must be achieved. Xia Ying suddenly felt that the scene was a bit like a big bad wolf that went out to hunt, met a little white rabbit, and then dragged it home. No, how could she compare her 12th cousin to the big bad wolf? He is her savior. Xia Ying was walking on the road to campus, ready to go home. However, as soon as Xia Ying reached the school gate, she heard the whispers of several girls beside her. Hey, when you passed by the turtle garden just now, did you see Muni Ankai beating someone? I saw it, doesn't she often hit people? But didn't she make a statement in front of the whole school last time, saying that she would be expelled if she continued to be violent on campus? TCH, this is just a formality. Do you think Principal Mu will expel his own daughter? Makes sense. Xia Ying was stunned. Did Muni Ankai start bullying again? Why doesn't this girl stop at all? She thought she had recovered, but who knew her true nature was still there. Xia Ying thought so and turned around to go to the turtle garden. When Xia Ying arrived, Muni Ankai's party was obviously done, and the girl was lying on the ground sobbing softly. Muni Ankai was sitting on the stone bench. Sun Han was squeezing her shoulders and back like a dog. Behind him stood a group of little girls. Muni Ankai looked like a gangster. Xia Ying looked at the ground who had been beaten with a bruised nose and face, and her eyes suddenly stung. She seemed to see herself in the previous life in the complicated eyes of the girl who was stubborn but unwilling to admit defeat. Xia Ying stared at the girl. The more she looked at her, the more familiar she felt. In her previous life, this girl was admitted to Imperial University with the second best score in the city, second only to Yeziaxuan. Therefore, her mugshot was posted at the gate of Guanyang Middle School that year, together with Yeziaxuan. Xia Ying had nothing to do with this girl in her last life. She only knew that she was a dark horse and had never attracted much attention before. Who knew that she would do so well in the college entrance examination? However, what Xia Ying is most puzzled about right now is why this girl provoked Muni Ankai. "Hey, Muni Ankai, what are you doing again?" Xia Ying asked coldly. Muni Ankai's party heard the sound and looked towards Xia Ying. When Muni Ankai saw Xia Ying, she rolled her eyes impatiently and said nothing. Sun Han, on the other hand, looked down on others. He looked at Xia Ying and said angrily, "Xia Ying, why are you still so nosy? By the way, your nanny didn't come with you today." The nanny Sun Han mentioned was Chu Shenxiu. Because Chu Shenxiu had always followed Xia Ying in the past, Sun Han said this. "I didn't talk to you." Xia Ying rolled her eyes at Sun Han and walked towards Muni Ankai. "Muni Ankai, you promised not to bully anyone in school again." Muni Ankai stood up angrily, met Xia Ying's gaze, and said coldly, "You are already so majestic now, do you want to achieve this little majesty?" Xia Ying frowned and suddenly understood the reason why Muni Ankai had never contacted her since the San Diego game. Muni Ankai is jealous of her? Because she has always grown up in a majestic way, who would have thought that now her glory would be taken away by Xia Ying? First, he won the global gold medal in the San Diego music competition and became a close disciple of the world's top music master, Motor West. His junior disciple is also the little music prince Stefan. Nowadays, she brings her cousin to school to show off her power. The only thing everyone in Guanyang is talking about now is Xia Ying's name, not Muni Ankai, a has-been school beauty. Thanks to the little cutie Xianjiu, Mo Menki, Blood Cherry, Yes Yao, rewards for WYJC and Lan Yu Yulu. You guys actually saw Chu Shenxiu and Chu Shenming's sense of CP, degree A degree, it's really sinful. They are obviously brothers, real brothers. Oh. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 327. Chapter 327. I thought we were friends. Xia Ying listened to Muni Ankai's words and sneered twice. "Muni Ankai, I thought we were friends." Muni Ankai smiled disdainfully. "Friend? I never said you were my friend." Xia Ying felt a little cold-hearted and said with a wry smile, "Then why did you help me get rid of Xiamenjian before, and why did you help me deal with Jiao Na?" "Because I hate White Lotus, that's all." Muni Ankai said coldly. "In my life, I hate the kind of White Lotus that pretends to be pure and innocent, so when I see a White Lotus, I destroy one, and when I see a group of, destroy a bunch." Muni Ankai's parents divorced because of Bailian Hua's intervention. So in her life, she hated the artificial White Lotus the most, the kind that made her vomit out her overnight meal. She used to hate Xia Ying so much because she thought she was White Lotus. Xia Ying smiled bitterly. It turned out that she was just being sentimental, and Muni Ankai didn't regard her as a friend at all. Fortunately, She didn't want Muniankai to go astray, so she came here to stop her bullying behavior. In the end, what he got were Muniankai's cold-blooded words. Muniankai originally thought she could be friends with Xia Ying, but now it seems that it is impossible. Her pride simply did not allow her to do this. She just couldn't be completely suppressed by another person's aura. She was Muniankai, she was the proud Muniankai. She doesn't deny that Xia Ying is a good and excellent person, but they just can't be friends. Previously, she thought that Xia Ying had designs on Jun Chennai and thought that Xia Ying was a white lotus, so she framed her over and over again. Who knew later that she herself was a fool who was being used by White Lotus? And Xia Ying's boyfriend is actually better than Jun Chennai, but so what, Jun Chennai still likes her. Just because Jun Chennai likes Xia Ying, it is impossible for Muniankai to coexist peacefully with her. Ah, okay then, bye. Xia Ying sneered twice, then stared at the ground, and said to Muniankai, I advise you to offend less people in the future. Xia Ying finished speaking, turned, and left. Muniankai in the previous life offended a big shot because of her personality and ended up with a bad end. Although because of Xia Ying's previous warning, Muniankai successfully avoided the disaster in her previous life. But she is still going her own way now. Xia Ying cannot guarantee that Muniankai in this life will be any better than the previous one. Muniankai glanced at the ground and said, You mean that white lotus on the ground? Xia Ying remained silent. Since when did you start meddling in my business? Muniankai said, Muniankai, never bully people for no reason. This girl deserves to be beaten by me. I advise you not to overflow with your mother's heart. Sun Han nodded aside, and then added, She is a thief. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment, and left without saying anything else. Xia Ying took a deep breath, maybe this is good. Since we can't be friends, then don't interfere with each other. After Xia Ying walked away, Sun Han asked Muniankai in a low voice, Sister Niankai, weren't you and Xia Ying very good before? It was so good that even Sun Han thought Muniankai was going to be friends with Xia Ying, but why was it so tense now? Muniankai snorted coldly and said, Anyone who gets along with her says I just hate White Lotus. In fact, there is another important reason. She confessed to Jun Chennai yesterday, but Jun Chennai rejected her again. Thanks to the little cutie Flower City Acridine for the reward. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 328. Chapter 328 Aesthetic Fatigue. Jun Chennai said, Don't be sentimental, and don't fantasize about impossible things. I will never like you. Muniankai asked, Do you like Xia Ying that much? Do you still like her even if she already has a boyfriend? Jun Chennai had a sullen face. Apparently Muniankai's words she already has a boyfriend touched the softest corner of Jun Chennai's heart. Jun Chennai said seriously, As long as she is not married, I still have hope. Muniankai cried and ran away. She had liked Jun Chennai for so long. She had liked him since she was a child, but Jun Chennai had never taken her seriously. She thought that since Xia Ying had Yu Ling Feng, Jun Chennai would notice her, but Jun Chennai would rather be Xia Ying's backup than like her. She knew that she was not as good as Xia Ying, but she would work hard, and Xia Ying didn't like him at all. She liked Jun Chennai so much, but Jun Chennai still didn't want to look at her. Muniankai thought about what happened yesterday, her nose suddenly sore, and she almost cried again. Muniankai stood up and said coldly, Sun Han, you take care of it, I'll go back first. Sun Han nodded, Okay, Sister Niankai. By the way, Sister Niankai, do you want to call the police on that girl stealing things? Muniankai was stunned for a moment, then turned back to meet the eyes of the ground. The girl's eyes were full of sincerity and pleading, and her eyes were full of tears. Please, don't call the police. The girl made a weak voice and said to Muniankai. Beg. Is it useful? If she really had any regrets, she wouldn't have stolen things so many times. If she hadn't been caught stealing from her, there's no telling what this girl would have become in the future. Muniankai thought so, moved her lips, and uttered a firm word, report. In an instant, the light in the girl's eyes dimmed. The moment Muniankai turned around, she didn't notice the sudden change in the girl's eyes. Chu Shenxiu has obviously become more self-reliant during this period. He was probably scared by Chu Shengming, so Chu Shenxiu almost didn't come to Guanyang to look for Xia Ying. However, Chu Shenxiu's little fans still remember him. From time to time, someone will come over after class and ask Xia Ying, when will your cousin come to school again? Xia Ying smiled awkwardly, he won't come, he has to study. At this time, the girls who heard the news would droop their faces and leave dejectedly. Jun Chenai, who was beside Xia Ying, raised his eyebrows, raised his head from his book with some displeasure, looked at the group of girls leaving, and complained, what the hell? I'm still here, why are you moving one by one, falling in love so quickly? Xia Ying was amused by Jun Chenai, well, it's probably because of aesthetic fatigue after watching too much. What? Jun Chenai jumped angrily, aesthetic fatigue, isn't it funny, I am a national idol, how can I get aesthetic fatigue? Xia Ying spread her hands helplessly, Big Turtle Dove is also the male of country S. Jun Chenai twitched the corner of his mouth with a look of disdain, how big is country S, a few provinces of China can overwhelm it. Hey, let me tell you, even if you are handsome and excellent, can you leave this kind of thing to others? Xia Ying was speechless, don't you think it's a bit shameless to praise yourself? Jun Chenai glanced sideways at Xia Ying, why didn't you feel thick-skinned when you recited the text? Xia Ying looked confused, what is the relationship between the two? Jun Chenai snorted twice but did not answer. Xia Ying took a moment to realize the implication of Jun Chenai's words. Did this guy say that his handsomeness and excellence were the textbook truth? It seems like using a diamond to see if it can make a hole in Jun Chenai's face. I think Muniankai is pretty good. She is a very straightforward girl. She doesn't have any bad intentions, she is just a little stupid. Everyone is waiting now for how she will hold Xia Ying's thigh and beg to be friends when she knows that Xia Ying is her goddess Thornbird he. Make things happen. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 329. Chapter 329 Isn't Yu Lingfen your boyfriend? On this day, Xia Ying came home from school. It was rare that Chu Shengming was at home, and because Chu Shengming was at home, Chu Shenxiu had to be a good baby and watch TV quietly at home. 12 Cousin, have you finished your latest project? Xia Ying asked, and then sat next to Chu Shengming. Chu Shengming frowned and replied calmly, actually, I encountered a bottleneck, so I didn't continue. Now I'll come back and relax. That's fine too. Xia Ying took a bag of potato chips from the coffee table, tore open the package and started eating, saying, it's better than staying in the research institute all the time in front of the cold instruments. As if Chu Shengming thought of something again, he asked Xia Ying, where is your boyfriend? Xia Ying was stunned after hearing this. She was holding potato chips and putting them in her mouth. Because of Chu Shengming's sudden words, Xia Ying almost bit her finger. Xia Ying turned her head to look at the serious Chu Shengming in stunned silence. Chu Shengming turned slightly sideways and frowned, puzzled by Xia Ying's reaction, and at the same time waiting for Xia Ying's answer. What boyfriend? A certain turtle dove on the side couldn't calm down anymore. What the hell? He had only been away from his cousin Sakura for a few days. When did cousin Sakura have a boyfriend? Chu Sensei quickly became angry and looked at Xia Ying with critical eyes. You really don't know how to learn how to fall in love at such a young age. Xia Ying looked at Chu Sensei and Chu Shenming inexplicably. She couldn't figure out what the situation was now. Chu Shenming continued, that great inventor, his name is Yu Lingfeng. Isn't he your boyfriend? Before Chu Shenming finished speaking, Xia Ying immediately interrupted him, no, no. Of course not. How could it be? Chu Shenming smiled slightly and looked at Xia Ying with half-squinted eyes, no, no, why are you so excited? Xia Ying's heart skipped a beat. Looking at Chu Shenming's sinister smile, she just thought about why this guy had such a high rank. It seemed that what Chu Sensei had told her before was right. His brother was not just someone with a high IQ. What a genius. That's not because I'm afraid that you might misunderstand me. Xia Ying said hesitantly. Chu Shenming watched the variety show on TV, and then said calmly, it's not your boyfriend, why do you always stick with him? Xia Ying was shocked, how could I stay with him? Chu Sensei nodded aside, that ice-faced guy is not his cousin Xia Ying's boyfriend. Although even he felt that his cousin Sakura seemed to be interested in her, but it just couldn't be the case. I remember I got up in the middle of the night and saw him in the living room, and then he went to your room. Xia Ying quickly covered Chu Shenming's mouth, which was still about to speak. Shenming said, then what? 12, go on. Xia Ying glanced at Luo Xian and said helplessly, Mom, why are you joining in the fun? Chu Sensei was stunned at the sight, what? Why did Yu Lingfeng go to his cousin Xia Ying's room in the middle of the night? What? What are you doing? Chu Shenming took off Xia Ying's hand, then looked at the eyes of the people around him and whispered, I thought this was something everyone knows. Who knew that he was the only one who knew? He rarely goes home, and he happened to see that scene again that day. He thought Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng were together. By the way, why did he mention Yu Lingfeng? Do you still remember that there was a time when Yu Mumu always went to find Xia Ying in the middle of the night? Ha ha ha, I was caught by Chu Shenming. Xia Ying. The author is always causing trouble. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 330. Chapter 330 Yu Lingfeng and I have a revolutionary friendship. No, 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 it's just your imagination. Xia Ying quickly ended the topic, Yu Lingfeng and I have a pure revolutionary friendship. Chu Shenming's face darkened and he didn't say anything. Haha, if you believe me, then my IQ is in vain? Oh, well, then call your revolutionary comrades over. What do you want to do? Xia Ying stared at Chu Shenming warily. Was he still thinking about confronting him face to face? I didn't expect you to be such a 12th cousin. I think he may be able to help our research get through the bottleneck period. No, 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 Yu Lingfeng has no research on medicine or anything like that. Xia Ying waved her hands quickly. Chu Shenming raised his eyebrows, really? Then how did he help me before? Xia Ying was stunned, when did Yu Lingfeng help you? It was a long time ago, and it was probably by accident he knew that I encountered some problems in my research, and then he gave me some advice. Chu Shenming said it seriously, not as if he was joking. Xia Ying burst into tears. When had Yu Lingfeng done these things before? She had no idea. Are you looking for Lingfeng? He will be here soon. I asked him to come to my house for dinner today. Luo Zhu teammate, God assist, Xin added on the side. Xia Ying. Chu Shenming nodded slightly, just right. Not long after, 11 Ju's voice rang out. La la la, Sakura, did you miss me? There is also an enchanting coda behind. 11 Ju was about to step forward and give Xia Ying a friendly hug, but he immediately froze the moment before and assumed a hugging posture, but he did not touch Xia Ying. Because Chu Shenxiu and Yu Lingfeng were standing in front of him and behind him, and being stared at back and forth by the two people's cold eyes, 11 Ju felt a little panicked. Yu Lingfeng was wondering, had the transformation gone too far? Is 11 Ju so excited to see girls now? The master's women dare to even think about it? Xia Ying looked puzzled, but she still took 2 steps back, then glanced at Yu Lingfeng guiltily, and blushed inexplicably. Probably because he thought of what Chu Shengming just said. Brother-in-law, I have a question for you. At this time, someone on the sofa broke the deadlock with a slow word. Xia Ying opened her mouth in surprise and turned to look at Chu Shengming in disbelief. Co-author, was everything she just explained in vain? Chu Shenxiu was almost driven crazy by his brother. What kind of brother-in-law? I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen. It's all fake, it's all fake. Yu Lingfeng looked like it was a matter of course, and a faint smile suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. Say. Yu Lingfeng walked towards Chu Shengming, and then the two began to communicate about things that the people around them could not understand at all. Xia Ying has turned to stone, but Yu Lingfeng actually accompanies him to make trouble. It should be so natural. 11 Ju smiled secretly at the side, then ran to the sofa and sat down to watch the pretty girls on the variety show. While eating, Chu Shengming and Yu Lingfeng sat together very friendly. Cousin Sakura, you have been studying very late recently. Eat more carrots to improve your eyesight. Hearing Chu Shengming's words, Xia Ying immediately put down the meat she had picked up just now, and turned her chopsticks to the carrots next to her. When Xia Ying ate the carrots, she thought that she could eat meat, and then she extended her chopsticks to the meat. Yu Lingfeng said again, eat more spinach. Oh. Xia Ying looked depressed and put a piece of spinach into her bowl. He ate it reluctantly. Ding, your friend Chu Shengming is now online. Thanks to the cute little dozen little fox demon, aka Yehung, Yan, bloodthirsty. More rewards. End of this chapter.